Nelly Security is excited to announce that we have a brand new camera manufacturer as a part of our product lineup. Meet Hanwha. So in this video, I'm going to be unboxing the WiseNet A-Series. The A-Series product line is on the lower end, more affordable side of the commercial grade security spectrum. This is for small to medium-sized businesses, maybe some larger installations as well. These are pretty robust cameras. They have a lot of great features, but they are more on the entry-level side of Hanwha cameras. Before we jump into the unboxing, there are a couple of things that you need to know about the A-Series. First, even though Hanwha is based out of Korea, the A-Series cameras are actually manufactured in Vietnam. This is outside of the People's Republic of China. They are not associated in any way with the HiSilicon chips, making these fully NDAA compliant. However, being manufactured in Vietnam, these cameras are not TAA compliant. So just want to clear up that confusion right up front. These are NDAA compliant, but not TAA compliant, even though they are designed in Korea and even though Hanwha is a Korea-based company. The next thing you should know about A-Series, and especially the product selection that we have available at this time, is that this is just the beginning. We plan on bringing more and more Hanwha products in over time, but since this is just the start of our relationship with this manufacturer, we only have a select few cameras. So just keep that in mind. If you don't see anything in this video that you're looking for, definitely be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to our email newsletter so that you're always the first to know when we get new products in. So with that out of the way, let's jump into a quick unboxing.
I can't get the answer to that on Apple Watch.
She thinks that when I say A-Series, I'm saying Hey Siri. I'm only going to actually unbox this turret because all the boxes are the same, but I am going to take a detailed look at all of the cameras and NVRs that you have so you can get an idea for what we're offering right now.
I'm not sure I understand. I found this on the web.
Let's just go to the unboxing. All right, I've got a stack of spec sheets here, got my coffee, ready to dig in. So we have our turret camera here. This is the ANV-L7012R. Currently, this is the only turret camera that we're carrying from the Hanwha A-Series line. So let's check this out. All right, when you open up the box, you've got, of course, your quick start guide. You've got components introduction. So this is just telling you the extra pieces that you have included in the box. We've got your mounting template, and inside here, we have your weatherproof grommet, as well as a hex wrench. Inside here, we've got our camera. We've got a beautiful metal turret camera. The actual camera part is metal. The ring around the camera is plastic, just to keep the cost down. But this feels really substantial. It's got some nice weight to it. We'll take this sticker off the lens. And you can see there we have our lens. This is a 4 megapixel camera with a 3mm lens that gives us a field of view of 98.3 degrees. We also have our IR LED there, which gives this camera about a 65-foot IR distance. We have the WiseNet logo there on the front. So these cameras, they're not part of our branding program because they already come with the WiseNet branding. WiseNet being the camera brand of Hanwha. Let's see, have we talked about all the important specs? I told you this is 4 megapixel. It also shoots video at 30 frames per second. It's really nice and smooth. It looks great, and we'll show you that here in a little bit. Let's take this turret apart. And to do that, you can see we have the locked and the unlocked icons. So we just need to twist the base to the unlocked position, and that pops right off. You can see it's only two pieces. We've got the turret and we've got the ring, and obviously you'll screw it in with these three holes here. And once you have it in the place that you want it, you can actually take this hex wrench that they provide and you can tighten up this screw here, and that's going to lock the camera down and make it really hard for someone to come along and change the angle of your camera. This is going to be really important to do to make sure this is nice and tight. One good thing about the hex wrench they sent, it's so long, that gives you a lot more leverage to be able to tighten this down pretty good. So Let me see how tight I can get it using just this hex wrench. Plenty more leverage to get this thing, oh yeah, tight as it will go. Now let's see. I can still move it around, so just make sure you're installing this in a place that's out of reach so that nobody can come along and just move your camera at will. You can see the cable run. We only have one cable here, which is pretty nice because you can only power this with PoE. You can't power this with a 12-volt DC connection. You're probably going to be powering these with PoE anyway. That's the easiest way, the most efficient way to power your cameras. Just plug this directly into your Hanwha NVR or into a separate PoE switch. It runs power to the camera. It runs data connectivity to the camera, all with one cable run. And if you're doing that, you're not going to have an extra cable sticking out here that you have to mess with. So that's really nice. And one last thing I want to show you, you can look on the bottom of this turret camera. We do have a, I need to loosen this a little bit more actually. All right, at the bottom of the camera, we do have a slot for a micro SD card, micro SD, and we also have the reset button. Let me open that up just to show you what it looks like, and it uses the same hex wrench that you'll use to tighten up your camera. And there you go, and ooh, look at that. This is it's attached to your camera, so you can't lose this little piece. That is always nice to see. And you've got your micro SD card slot. You got a reset button there. Pretty straightforward, self-explanatory. And there we go. We got that all tightened up. Then once you have your camera right where you want it, you just take the lens cover. You will line it up there into the unlocked position, and you'll just move it counterclockwise. There you go. Your camera is installed. It's ready to go. And that is the 4 megapixel fixed lens turret camera from Hanwha WiseNet. All right, now that you've seen inside the box, the rest of this video is going to go a little bit quicker because we're just going to be looking at the cameras themselves. We have two different bullet cameras with the A-Series line. We have the ANO-L7012R and the ANO-L7082R. You can see these cameras look identical. They are both 4 megapixel bullet cameras. The only difference is the lens. I don't know if you can tell very well. The 7082R has a motorized lens. This goes from 3.3 millimeters up to 10.3 millimeters, which is a 3.1 times zoom factor. Whereas the L7012R is a fixed lens. This is only a 3 millimeter lens bullet. And that is the only difference between these two cameras. The housings are identical, which is unique. Usually we'd expect to see a little bit bigger of a camera for the motorized version, but that's nice that we have two compact models here, both for the fixed lens and the motorized lens camera. We've got 3 IR LEDs at the bottom of both cameras. Visibly, there is no difference here, but the motorized lens camera has a much longer IR range, which makes sense because it does have that larger zoom field. So the motorized lens camera has an IR range of up to 100 feet. The fixed lens, just like the turret, has an IR range of up to 65 feet. Specs wise, they both shoot 4 megapixel video. They both shoot at 30 frames per second. You can see the WiseNet logo there on both cameras. Everything else is pretty much the same for these cameras, so we will focus on the motorized lens here as we take a look at the features. You can see that we have a 3-axis angle adjustment here with just a regular Phillips head screw holding it in place. So it's pretty easy to manipulate, just like the turret. You'll want to make sure you tighten these down really well, and you'll definitely want to keep this camera out of reach, not only because it's easy to manipulate, but also, check this out, we have unlocked and locked. Look how easy this is to take this camera apart. I'm just going to move this into the unlocked position, and this whole thing just comes off, and the lens is just kind of hanging there. So again, keep this out of reach. Why is it so easy to take apart like that? I'm sure it's so that when you're installing it, you can have easy access to the zoom ring in there. I don't know if you can really see it, but let me stick my fingers in. We can see this lens moving in and out. And there we are, zoomed all the way in. And now I'm turning that dial, and now we are zoomed all the way out. You can also zoom this on the web interface or on the NVR because it does have a motorized zoom lens, so it's probably easier to just log into the interface and zoom it that way. But if you need to zoom it manually, You have incredibly easy access to inside of the camera to be able to do that. But this is also where you'll insert the micro SD card. You can see the slot is right there on the side of the camera. So really easy access to that card. It's not protected by any kind of security screw or anything. So again, keep this out of reach. How many times have I said that by now? So that's the inside of the camera. Let's lock this thing back up. And there we go. Make sure that's locked, make sure our lens is in place. As far as cables go, just like the turret, we only have one cable, and it's just the Ethernet connection, so you can only power this through PoE, which again, why would you want to power it with anything else? So there we go. That's the motorized lens bullet. I know what you're thinking. The fixed lens bullet shouldn't be as easy to get into since you can't open it up to zoom the lens because the lens is fixed. Well, that's where you're wrong. This one also has the same locking and unlocking mechanism. You can just, this one's a little tighter. Oh, pop this right off. This one has our little demoisturizing beads inside. I don't think the other one had that. But it's exactly the same thing. You can't come in here and zoom the lens, but you do have the SD card slot right there on the side of the camera. Now, that is our two bullets in the A-Series lineup. Our last two cameras before we jump into the NVRs, we have the ANV-L7082R and the ANV-L7012R. Just like the bullet cameras, we have a fixed lens and a motorized lens. Obviously, the difference is these do have different housings. The fixed lens camera is a bit smaller than the motorized lens. But something interesting about these cameras is you'll notice that there is no cable run here. There's no pigtail with the Cat5 Ethernet connection. That's because it's all inside. This is a cable-free connection, so you plug it directly into the body. We've seen this in some cameras in the past. Our old H-Series cameras had cameras like this. Uniview has cameras like this. But with this A-Series, it's got that same cable-free setup on both of the domes that we carry. These are going to be IK10 vandal-proof domes, really hard and durable plexiglass there. We might have to get Kyle to come try to crack one of these open at some point. Whatever happened to our stick? Anyway, again, 4 megapixel. Just like the bullet camera, we've got a 3.3 to 10.3 millimeter lens on the motorized lens, and we've got a 3 millimeter lens on the fixed lens. They both shoot 4 megapixel, 30 frames per second, just like the other cameras that we've seen. It comes with a hex wrench, so let's open these suckers up. All right, set that dome off to the side, and here is our lens. We've got 3-axis angle adjustments. You can pan left and right, tilt up and down. You can also tilt it left and right like that. So all 3 axes are available for adjustment. Once you have it where you want it, you can take a Phillips head screwdriver, tighten it down with these 2 screws. And now that the hood's off, we can see the Ethernet connection right here. Again, it is built into the camera itself, which is really nice. It cuts down the hassle of having to deal with some pigtails. You can stick the Ethernet cable in through this little rubber piece. That's gonna, you'll end up having to cut that off, but that's gonna give you a nice rubber seal so that water doesn't get in here. What else do we have? We've got our micro SD card slot right there, and we have a reset button right there. So there you go, pretty simple and straightforward. It's exactly the same with our fixed lens model there. So those are our 2 Vandal domes. We are done looking at the cameras now. We've got the turret, 2 bullets, 2 Vandal domes. Now let's take a look at the 3 NVRs that we're carrying. All right, we have our NVR here. This particular model is the 4-channel. We also have an 8-channel here. And we have our 16-channel model. It's quite a bit bigger, so it doesn't really fit. They all have very similar connections. We've got the 4 PoE ports in the back of the 4-channel. We've got a DC 54 volt connection, a USB for the mouse. We've got an HDMI connection, which outputs up to 4K. And we've got our network connection there. We have an additional USB slot in the front. This is so you can connect a thumb drive for updating firmwares, downloading footage, exporting footage from your NVR's hard drive. We've got some LED indicators here. Our WiseNet logo stamped there on the front. See if we can focus on that. Pretty straightforward and self-explanatory. We've got one hard drive slot. This holds up to 6 terabytes of storage. That is our 4-channel. 8-channel, we've got the same thing except 8 PoE ports. Everything else is exactly the same, and it also has one hard drive slot. You can see this one already has a hard drive installed, actually. And again, it holds up to 6 terabytes of storage. Same story on the front. We've got the USB, we've got the indicator lights, the WiseNet logo. 16-channel is bigger and it is a little bit different. Not only do we have the 16 PoE ports in the back, we also have our 4K HDMI output as well as a VGA output. This won't output to a 4K display, but it is nice to have those two different outputs so you can have a secondary monitor if you need to. Again, we've got our network port. We've got a different power cable here. Instead of that 54 volt DC, this is just going to be your standard AC connector and power switch. On the front, we have 2 USB connections. This is because there is no USB connection on the back. So you can plug both your flash drive and your mouse right here into the front. We also have our indicator lights here. We have more indicator lights than we did on the 4-channel and the 8-channel. And on the 16-channel, we do have 2 slots for hard drives this time. They are both still 6 terabytes, but since we have 2 slots, we can hold up to 12 DB of storage on this 16-channel NVR. And that is all of the cameras and the recorders that we're currently carrying. And as always, we will continue to create new videos. Soon we're going to be showing you the NVR HDMI interface. We're going to be adding cameras to the NVR and seeing everything in action. So definitely stay tuned for that. Click down below to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss out on our future Hanwha content. Now I'm going to show you some sample footage from our turret camera that is installed outside so you can get an idea for what you can expect in terms of recording quality from these 4 megapixel, 30 frames per second cameras. Well, thank you guys for checking out this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you're excited for this new product line. Let us know in the comments down below what you think. Be sure to check the descriptions for all the links so you can check out these products for yourself. Happy installing, and I will catch you in the next video.